I imagine this is a game that's going to get PS5 enhancements, so I might come back to it at the end of the year when the PS5 comes out. I'm not sure on that one. I really don't know. It also just kind of depends where we're at the end of the year. I don't really know. I'm not going to be like an early, like, while I'm excited about the PS5, I'm not going to be an early adopter of it. Partially due to the situation in the world with the pandemic, and I do intend on trading in my PS4 for a PS5, but I need to know more about backwards compatibility first before I'm ready to make that jump. So I really don't know. I imagine most of the titles, like most of the big titles, are going to be at least backwards compatible. The things that kind of made PS4 like sales very prevalent. So like Horizon Zero Dawn, this game, God of War, Marvel Spider-Man, Nier Automata, those sort of games. But I have a I don't know. I don't know. Like there's a lot of different things that could happen, and I definitely do intend on, yeah. We'll just have to wait and see. Like, we're only like 4 months away right now, I think. Right? Because we're in July, so like August, September, October, November. It's probably gonna be the end of November. So 5 months-ish. And unless you have a pre-order, I don't know how much supply there's actually going to be. So I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get a pre-order. Even if I do, I'm hoping GameStop will be running some kind of special where it's like trade in your PS4 for a PS5 and get like an extra, something percentage trade-in credit or something. They typically do that sort of thing, try to like boost sales and all that sort of thing. So I don't know. I really have no idea. There's a lot of ways it could go. But that is an exciting thing for me. That I'm looking forward to. Like seeing games. Because this game is so pretty. And like I've been playing a little bit of Horizon Zero Dawn lately too, because I was kind of like partway through a playthrough a while back. Is this controller done charging? Oh, so it's still charging. I was charging on my Nacon controller because the battery was like about a little somewhere within the half range. It was probably less than half considering it's still charging right now and I've been charging it for like over an hour. Although it might just be charging because it's connected right now. So it is using a little bit of battery. Here's one here. I'll do this real quick. Because you turn it off by pressing and holding the PlayStation button for like 5 seconds or something. So I'm going to turn it off first and then plug it in so it's not actually connected and using any battery power, and then see if it like immediately stops charging or what happens there. So yeah, like I said, I'm excited. But I'm not holding my breath. It's funny. Anyway. Yeah, it still says it's charging. Weird. So it must have like a... Probably has like a little bit of battery overhead. But... I don't know. I'm gonna have to... Because the reveal was freaking awesome. The PS5 event thing. But there's still a lot we don't know. There's 2 key factors for me at this point: backwards compatibility and price. Because the big game I'm looking forward to isn't even coming out until 2021. And actually, most of the games I'm looking forward to, so I guess the third one after backwards compatibility and price would be launch titles. Because I don't even know of anything. We don't even know what launch titles are going to be yet. So it's like, okay, is there any incentive to get like day one aside from like PS4 game enhancements? That's a big selling point for me, I'll be honest, but if backwards compatibility is still like partial for PS4, then I don't really want to upgrade. Because for me, a big problem with this current generation on PS4 is the lack of backwards support. So, like, I've been trying to find a PS3 like for a year now, and I kind of given up because most of them are gone, or you know, scalpers, various things, blah blah blah. But I'm hoping as time goes on, I'll just keep an eye on eBay and stuff and hope to find one, or even better, if they confirm PS5 is going to be as backwards compatible as possible. So if there is also... That's one way they could buffer it for me. Like if PS4 backwards compatibility on the PS5 is partial, I'll be like, oh, okay, that sucks. I kind of had a feeling. But if they go as far as to say, by the way, if you have a digital library, and I feel like they might do this, and I'll explain why, but if you have a digital library as far back as PlayStation 3, a lot of those titles are going to run on PS5. So while, again, this is still them talking, while we are working on PS4 backwards compatibility, we are also working on full PS3 backwards compatibility. And to go even further, we know there are a lot of other games on PSN with lower system requirements. So like we got Vita, we got PSP, we got PS1, we got PS Minis. If they're working on bringing all of those to be able to run on PS5, I'd be sold 100%. I'd be like, I mean, I'm not going to give up my PlayStation TV. That is staying with me forever. Because not only is that my most portable system that I have, it's also just a relic in a sense that it'll be an interesting piece of PlayStation history at some point. But yeah, that would be 100%. Like, I'm down. Sign me the fuck up. Because I don't like the fact that in order to play my library, I have to have like 4 different PlayStations. Or even, in the case of the next one, 5 different ones. And I'm not counting the PS1, because the PlayStation 2 can play like 100% of the PS1 library, because it has the like hardware built into it, kind of like the PlayStation 3 had the hardware built into it. But we're past that, right? Like we saw that patent from Sony a while back, where they were like, okay, well, if this software is on legacy hardware, then it's going to emulate that hardware and run the thing or whatever. They were basically outlining and patenting this technology supposedly for the PlayStation 5. Like, Sony never confirmed it, but supposedly it was for the PlayStation 5 architecture. And that combined with how it's going to run like very differently as far as power goes, like power management with like the CPU and GPU and cooling and all that, I'm very excited. This has potential to be a very, very capable machine. Whether or not they're going to do that, I don't know. But I feel like they'd be stupid not to. And they have the patents, they have the technology, they have the library, and they could even be putting Hurt on the Switch. Because a lot of people think, well, you can't touch the Switch because it's also a portable. Sony can't compete. I get it. And they were trying to do that with the PS Vita because it played PS Vita, PSP, PS1 games, and PS Minis. I mean, not 100% of them, but whatever was on PSN, which was a large library and a large undertaking. And while they have pretty much discontinued the PS Vita, they still have all that stuff on PSN. Like, so what? They're just not they're not going to use it, that'd be foolish. That'd be 100% foolish. I don't think that's going to be the case. Now they could do something like xCloud. They might have had plans for that. And no, I'm not talking about PlayStation Now. It's a little different. I mean, like, exactly the approach that xCloud and Stadia was talking about. Where essentially, even though you don't have the hardware, you could play these games from a mobile device. Instead of like... So let's say you want to play like a PSP game on your phone. And they could just renovate PlayStation Now in this way. Or like your tablet or whatever. So you download the app, you log into your account, and there's your library, right? And so you fire it up, and even though you don't have the hardware, you could just stream the game running from like their servers or whatever, you know? Same thing, but with the PlayStation backlog. Instead of like remote play, essentially like you're streaming it from your machine but also over the internet, which again would limit you to what is compatible with the machine and all that. So now that could work a lot better, that setup, if the machine was like backwards compatible with all kinds of different things. Then remote play would be a lot better and just kind of like expand that functionality, I guess. And it has seen it work very well if you have, like, you know, a really good router, really good home internet, your PS4 being connected over like actual like Ethernet cable instead of Wi-Fi. You know, a bunch of different factors in there, but that would potentially be really cool if the system itself could play all that stuff. Then remote play, if they reworked it, could be very interesting. Or if you don't want to actually upgrade, then just, you know, PlayStation Now, instead of like going by their library, you can just go by your own library, or you have the base library plus like whatever you have purchased from them, which would be trickier, I guess. But for a lot of things, and a lot of the older titles, like if it's PSP or older, then if you could just download it to that device, that'd be fantastic. That'd be really cool. Because they're like, okay, cool, I'm just going to sign into PlayStation Now, download these, you know, like a bunch of these small games that are like less than 2 gigabytes, which, you know, most people on a, you know, smartphone or tablet or whatever have a few extra gigabytes for some games or something. And then you don't have to rely on the internet connection. This can be like, I'm going to be on a road trip, I want to play this on my phone or whatever, and then you can either use a controller, or, you know, if you want to really simplify it, maybe touchscreen controls, that would be terrible, but or keyboard would be great too, for just like some basic stuff. It'd be also simpler for, in a lot of cases, just like a keyboard with like a trough, you know, or whatever. Or some people have like the keyboard case, where it's just like built into the, like for tablets and stuff. That'd be dope, because you could just unfold that shit, fire up a game, be absolutely great. And in that way, newer customers, I feel like, would be like, oh, why would I get a Switch where I would also have to buy a bunch of new expensive games when I already have these games, and I could just take my older PlayStation games with me, or, you know, stream them. But I remember hearing, like, most people, I remember hearing that, like, the reason why, like, they don't think, like, xCloud and Stadia and all that stuff is going to be that successful, at least in the near future, is partially due to consistent internet speeds and how accessible high speed is, and the speeds that you need, essentially, and how even like a strong AC Wi-Fi connection isn't necessarily going to cut it for most people, and depending on like distance from the source and all that shit. So the introduction of like 5G service, quote unquote 5G, from like, you know, T-Mobile or Sprint or whatever, your mobile carrier, and then hopefully you don't have like data caps, because if you want to use that, you know, on your phone or something, then you're gonna eat right through that. But because again, that's another strength of the Switch, is you don't need, you can just turn on airplane mode, which I do most of the time when I'm playing in handheld, because it does vastly improve your battery life, and therefore the length of time you can play without plugging into a power source. And I think that is one big weakness of the Switch, whereas some other devices, especially like certain phones and tablets and stuff like that, you could potentially game on for 2 to 3 times as long, just because of, you know, how it uses power. The size of the battery and the, you know, how much it's actually stressing the CPU or GPU, APU, I guess. Aggregated Processing Unit. Is that what APU stands for? I don't remember. It's Aggregate Processing Unit? Is that right? I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, I've already been live for half an hour. I'm just ranting about PS5 and what PlayStation might be planning and shit. So fact, I might just clip this front part and like have this as like its own like discussion kind of thing. So I probably will do that. So because a lot of people don't watch the streams because, you know, of the length and be like, oh, well, I don't really want to put on something that's going to be like hours and hours. So if you're watching this part in the future, let me know down in the comments section because this part won't be labeled as a stream, but will be included in the stream, if that makes sense. And yeah, maybe check out some of the other content and new stuff every day. Awesome. Thanks for stopping by.